help provoke this. It restores something very fundamental in our memory. It proves that we are connected. It proves the quantum field. It proves that we have this amazing template. And oh my goodness, the uses for this. And you know, even burns alone, millions of people just in America every year are burned horrifically, lose their lives to these horrific overreactions in their bodies. In 3rd and 4th degree burns, often it's life-threatening, and when that stops, the body suddenly calms down and the risk to losing your life goes. This is a life-saving technology. And there are people, you know, holidays, children are burning themselves with fireworks and Christmas trees, and it's mainly children, but you know, burns account for more deaths per year than HIV and AIDS worldwide. It's a horrible scourge, and the medical can't really do much for it. They've got cooling gels and reconstructive surgery and skin grafts, but that's it. It's a mess, and it's horrific, disfiguring suffering for the individual if they survive, you know. And that's what we hope to eradicate. And our real campaign, our real push is for mothers, the real first responders. They are the ladies who know when their loved ones, their babies, their sons are burned, and they will know quickest. And they don't have permission protocols to pick up the phone. They can just do it. And we want 1 million mothers by Monday, every single Monday, till every mother on the planet has got this number. And
we will keep it up, and I will also keep it up here well past this show. This information and this show will be available on Blog Talk Radio, on TalkShoe, and up on the links will be up on Free American.
Great, fantastic. And you can, you know, you can take this to your communities, your schools, your Twitter it, Facebook it, spread the word. Even if you say, look, there's this global experiment taking place, I want to know if it works, and I want my people to know. So say there's 50 people who all know each other, and you've all got the burn doctor number. There's sure to be a domestic household accident that some of them are going to see this work. And they tell their people, they tell their friends, they say, I don't know how it works, but heck, it does work. And that's word of mouth. That's a rumble in the jungle. That's actually all we've got. We've been to the mainstream media. And we hope one day that the big guys, the networks, pick up the story. In fact, when there are hundreds of thousands of burn cases that are documented, I think they'll have to. And you know, they've got someone like CNN or Associated Press. They've got journalists in every major city who are on scene in any kind of disaster in minutes. They can be sending in photographs of these burn cases, of an explosion or an oil rig explosion or a bombing incident, war incident. They can be on scene, and they can actually send in the data of the burn cases. They take photographs anyway. You know?
Can you teach through this organization? Can you instruct
yes,
first responders on this technique, and the ambulance drivers and the paramedics? I mean, it seems like everybody should know this. But
in the military, everybody, we've hammered on all those doors, but there's so much political red tape and you know, they have too much bureaucracy in the way to be able to say yes. And also burn centres, they're interconnected with charitable foundations for burned firefighters, and it was just too political, I suppose. But one day when it's everywhere, hopefully that'll melt down those protocol barriers, those legislation.
I almost hate to do this to you, Alison. But
I know what you're going to say.
You know, what you were saying kind of plays into this whole conspiracy theory that you know, we're accused of. And anytime I tell people, they are trying to kill you. They are trying to drug you down. They are feeding you fluoride. They are feeding you genetically modified foods, and the medication that the doctor is prescribing for you is contributing to your illness. They don't want to cure cancer. They would rather put you in jail for having a little bit of cancer medicine in your pocket. And fortunately, we have got that turned around in 16 states so far. But this is, they are trying to kill us. They are trying to kill us.
Personally, I'm not representing the views of Fireburn Doctor with that, but personally I feel the same way. But this is an antithesis to all those unnatural Frankensteinian health measures that are out there. This is provoking your body. And this template, you were born with this. You were born with this wiring. We were born with the faculty to feel connected to all of humanity, and we all feel separate and distant from humanity. This is proof that we are all connected. It's extremely wholesome, and it restores bodies. It stops people dying of their burn injuries. It stops them being disfigured and scars. People have nothing to lose, and this can't be stolen, subverted, corrupted, or stopped in truth, because it's a transcendental faculty. But it even become a transcendental faculty. It's so sad.
Now let me years ago I studied hypnosis. I was able to hypnotize people, put them in, but I was also found that I was able to take away headaches almost instantly.
Mm-hmm. Well, mind is either doing the right thing by the healing process, or it's doing the wrong thing. And fear and pain and panic is the wrong thing. It's self-destructive consciousness that's kicking off there. And this is a reversal of self-destructive consciousness in minutes. And you're right, it is the power of the mind, but most of the time our mind is going against ourselves, and it's in self-destructive thought that makes things worse, and fear is the worst of that self-destructive thought. Could I share our own way?
Could I share with you what my research has uncovered about what love is?
Yes.
It's your level of vibrational energy. And the more you raise your vibrational level of energy, the healthier you are, the more productive you are, the more effective you are.
Exactly.
And what is happening around you that people really don't see, because we are in a war, you are being bombarded with negative image, negative image, negative image, be afraid, be very afraid. And you know, Jesus told us, according to the Bible, that you can do what I do and more. And the way I translate...
Jesus in this shall you do. I love that, because I feel he left lots and lots of clues for what we could be doing. And we didn't do it, really. You know, well, look at the pickle we're in worldwide with that faulty consciousness, fear-based consciousness. And there's no solutions out there. There's no solutions. Here we have something extraordinary, very profound, very precise. This is not hit and miss. It's laser precise. And it has many, many applications in liberating human consciousness from that self-destructive mode of thinking. And that's the source of nearly all, it is the source of all the problems we're facing, our self-created problems. It's faulty thinking, you know? But this kind of trips the mains. It like sets you back to default setting.
Yeah. It's in 2004, I made a phone call and gave away my location and my route, and I was in an accident, involved in an accident. Somebody was waiting for me, and after I ended up getting out of the hospital, after being drugged for 3 months, I got out of the hospital. They still wanted to keep me on the drugs. I basically refused all of the drugs, and my ex-wife told me, well, the doctors saved your life. And I said, no, they didn't. They tried to kill me. I saved my life. I decided to live. You know, they didn't do nothing. There wasn't no insurance. There were no, you know, they set, what? You can't set 3 broken ribs and a broken collarbone. And I had a bump on the head, but I don't believe I've suffered from any massive brain injury, but it managed to kill everything that I was doing at the time, and lost my family over that, because I thought I really believed their only mistake they made was trying to overdose Clay Douglas. Now, is that was this a delusion from a head injury, or are we perfectly capable of healing ourselves?
We're perfectly capable of healing ourselves, but we've been lobotomized from that faculty for a long, long time. Some people, across the world, people are having a sense that there's something much more, a higher power available to us that we've unplugged from. Well, this is proof of that higher power, accessed, harnessed and applied for everyone to see, no matter what. Anyone can call in a burn plate, anyone can see it and test it and know it's true. But we want that, 700 burns we're nearly up to 700 burns. That needs to be 7 million. We are only on skirting the outsides of the problem, and it's only the public who would be the real carrier to make sure that everyone's got that number stuck in their phone, stuck to their refrigerator door, and given to all their relatives, and are prepared in the event of a burn. But you might be on your travels during the day, have that number in your phone. You could come across a car fire, and people have been pulled out, barbecued of a car fire in agonies, and you're right there, and you could ask them and say, I need to take a picture of your face. I'll tell you in a minute what this is about. Don't worry, and take a picture of their face and send it to us. Journalists can do that. They don't have to worry about permission, and you will be responsible for helping save a life and the suffering and the disfigurement from that burn, which is thrillingly good karma, and it feels yummy. And I've spoken to hundreds of burn cases now, and they're all awed and flabbergasted and what the heck, but they know something very special happened and very wholesome. Yeah. And we want everyone to see it.
with the systems that we put together, everything's a double-edged sword, and we've wondered for 2,000 years what the mark of the beast could have been. What could that possibly have meant? Nobody knew 2,000 years ago. Today they got commercials for it.
Yeah, little microchips and all sorts of other things.
George used to forget his medication, but now we got this little chip, and that tells the doctor everything about him, tells him what medications he needs.
And if you get lost, we can find you on satellite. Isn't that great?
That's right. That's right. And
I know. The systems aren't necessarily serving humanity anymore. Yeah, it's questionable. I mean, I have to be more politically correct, obviously, because we just want everyone to know about Fire Doctor, but if it doesn't enhance your life, it doesn't make you feel better, doesn't, why on earth are you using it, really? There's systems that kind of run against our own nature.
We basically have to step out of the system, and everybody thinks you got to be in the city there so you can get a doctor, but you could be in the middle of Alaska, pick up your cell phone. If you've been burned and been subjected and injured, you can pick up the telephone, call this number, and start healing immediately. Is that, am I stating that accurately?
Yes, correctly. Within the first 30 minutes, preferably the first couple or 3 minutes. Like Greg Trail, who was on the line earlier, he called within 2 minutes. It was one of the first things he did. He put his plate down and picked up his phone. So, yes, the quicker, the better the result, because less of this chaotic, faulty brain signal is doing its damage. The longer that is left unimpeded, the more damage it does. Like with the little girl on our news page, that was 4 hours worth of damage. If we'd known about her in the first couple of minutes, she'd have had no blisters rise. You see, it stops the reaction. It's not needed. It's not required. All this edema, this fluids and stuff, it's actually not what the body needs. We don't do the right thing in our bodies by burns. It's because of the fear and the pain. And we get in our own way with that. But it's for people to see. And by the way, this can be taught. This can be taught to anybody. And if anybody is interested and they want to qualify, and the training will be free as well, if they want to qualify for learning the Fire Doctor's technology, which I'll just tell you what the full scientific name is in a minute, then send in burn cases. Mobilize your local community, prove your altruistic intent, and send in some burn cases, and you qualify. When we're in the phase of training, you'll be in the auditorium of people who can be trained in this in a matter of days. It's very, very, very simple.
I want to be trained in this. This fits right into everything that I believe, everything that I've worked on, and I love your description of this universal mind. I mean, that's what really God is. He ain't no you know.
Yes,
He ain't no Charlton Heston look-alike, you know, sitting up on some throne in the sky. God is what holds your molecules together. And by the way, the witchcraft, just to go back a few 100 years or 1,000 years, you know how witchcraft works? Folks, you got a little
manipulation and suggestion of ideas. They had to believe it. They had to believe those horrible things, and then the harm would happen, right?
It's a little bit more than that. If you make and this doesn't necessarily have to be something bad or evil. You know, the people that they called witches were healers. They were healers. They heal people. But you got the choice. I mean, God gives us a choice. You can be good or you can be evil.
Yeah, by your deeds shall you be known. By your deeds shall you be known. And,
that's right.
And when you're stopping suffering, you're helping the body fix itself. You're helping people get back to work, and they're not lost any money, and they're not off work for weeks and months. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win all around, except perhaps for the burn centers who charge billions of dollars for reconstructive surgery. That's probably why they haven't jumped on us, because this will always be free. And but you know, it's for the people. I hope one day that they will. The legislation will melt down and they will use it. But I'm not holding my breath for that. None of us are. We did for a while.
Well, we will keep this information up. So if somebody, I'll keep it up on the Free American site. I would love to have you back on my show on a fairly regular basis, because people do need to know this. And it's I believe what you were talking about is what we really need for our health. We can heal ourselves. We do have the power. And what you're talking about, the internet, as it is above, so it is below, an old biblical term. The internet is the physical representation of the mind of God, because it's providing a very similar thing. It's linking us, and you have been programmed to forget that you can do all of these things. You probably could jump over that telephone pole.
The real World Wide Web. This is the real World Wide Web, and you're right. It's symbolically, computers do represent an overview of that. And if you think of that analogy, well, we're all like computers, and if we get a virus or a faulty something goes wrong in our computer, it will throw that whole computer out of whack. But you know, someone can send you an email from the other side of the world. It comes through the air unseen. It's not, our physical senses haven't got any pickup on that, and our email arrives. It's the same thing, and that email is what is happening with the burn case. People are. But the email goes to the right place and says, "Hey, system restore."
In occult literature and my studies of the cult 40, 50 years ago, you know, the whole thing. You start looking for scientific facts in this. Why did they cut the hair off and put the hair on the voodoo doll? It's because that hair contains your exact DNA. And I could take a piece of that hair, your hair there, and actually contact you. I've done it. I've done it in front of people. I had my roommate's hair. She was driving a bus to the airport, and I said, "Watch this." And I just put this lock of hair to my head and concentrated down on the molecular level. You just lower yourself to the molecular level, and the phone rang. What are you doing, Paula? What are you doing, Paula? Did you want to talk to me or something? I'm driving people to the airport.
Yeah, exactly the same thing. I mean, you know, some people have got very strong gut feelings and intuition, and they're way more sensitized to those faculties than others. But others are completely numbed off to them, but it still works for them too. And all
right, I'm going to take a couple of other calls here. We got about 10 minutes left. And you may have somebody here, possibly from the 505 area code. Who do we have here?
505. What's that?
Yes, sir.
Charles.
Yes, that's me, Charles.
Hello, Charles.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Charles. Charles is a retired judge and used Fireburn Doctor. He heard, I think it was on Rent's radio show, he heard us about a year ago, and has an amazing story. And he also did a little experiment of his own. If I may just ask Charles if he would just tell what happened when you called Fireburn Doctor, that'd be great.
Well, I, as you said, heard about it on the Rent show, and I heard you interviewing other people who had burns and had them apparently cured by this method. And it sounds absolutely unbelievable. You have to grant that. It sounds crazy. And I come from a background of medicine and logic and science, and I've been a judge for 25 years, and so I'm don't come from the psychic, as you would say, background, and yet I can attest that this works. My wife had a burn one day. I came home and she was dancing around with her finger under the water, and what happened? Well, she grabbed the wrong end of one of these curling irons that heats up and curls your hair on one end. Well, she burned her fingers pretty badly, and the pain was awful. She just couldn't get rid of it, and it was horrible. So even though it was after 30 minutes, I called the Fireburn Doctor number and related the proper information, and I swear, 30 minutes later, she had forgotten about that burn. I mean, it was incredible. What was going to be blisters subsided. The skin took on a sort of a shiny, leathery look like it had already been healed. And so I thought, well, that's amazing. It doesn't comport with what I remember as a corpsman in the Navy. I treated a lot of burns when I was in the Navy. And so one day I was reaching in the microwave and I picked up a cup and the handle got too hot. It burned my finger. And I said to myself, the Fireburn Doctor. But I thought, I'm not going to call the Fireburn Doctor this time. I'm going to see what this burn does. Am I remembering burns wrong? Well, I watched the burn, and sure enough, I got a blister. The blister popped. It needed bandaging. It needed ointment, and and in a couple of weeks it was better. But it took about 10 days to 2 weeks to get as good looking as my wife's burn was, like in the next day practically. And but since then, I've had a couple of other experiences with the Fireburn Doctor. My wife has burned herself a couple of times, and we've called each time, and bingo, it's just incredible. She got a good burn on her arm from a heater, and a couple of times here, and just has healed it right up. This is why I suggest everybody try it, because it's unbelievable, but it seems to work.
All right. I really appreciate your call, sir, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you so much.
All right. I have a call from the 979 area code. Hello, caller.
Hi, this is Carol. Hi.
Hi, Carol. How's it going, dear?
Hey, it's good. I'm recounting Thanksgiving dinner 2 years ago. I had just taken an iron skillet out of the oven filled with fresh cornbread, tunked the cornbread out, and put the skillet in a dry sink. And now that was about 425, 450 degree oven. Right at that moment, I had my back turned. Right at that moment, the organic farmer at whose house I was preparing this dinner wanted to help me, and he reached for the skillet so that he could do a quick cleanup before dinner started, and of course screamed. And I was horrified, but I had again heard about the Fireburn Doctor on the Jeff Rent show. So I went to my computer, I looked up the number. I have since memorized it. I say it again and again to myself just to make sure it's right there at the front of my brain. And so I called 1-818-332-6445, and but only with the permission of the organic farmer, because I didn't want to go against his own desire to be healed. He was angry, and he really didn't give me permission. And he, as a matter of fact, screamed out no when I asked him, and followed it up with, how much is it going to cost? And I said, it's free. And then he was even more grudging when I needed 3 things from him, which was his name and his place of birth and date of birth. But he still gave it to me. And we went on and had dinner. I was watching him the whole time, and this hand had become this horrible, burning, searing red in the entire palm, and the blisters were big, and they were already up. And when I called the fire burn doctor, and so I was watching him use this hand, which he uses to farm, and he was using it to lift wine. He was using it to cut his meat with, and chatting away. And after the meal, I said, "How is your hand?" And he looked surprised and looked down at it, remembering that he burned it. And the skin had already gone back and taken the normal contour of his skin. And instead of so there were no more blisters. And instead of the horrible, scary, fiery redness, it was just a nice pink. And so this was a skeptic, the out-and-out skeptic. Go ahead, Allison.
No, it was great. See, that's a good point. And on the video page of Fireburn Doctor, there's another extreme skeptic we've got captured on film, who a journalist. His friend had burned his hand really badly, and they nearly had a fight with this journalist trying to get him to call the fireburn doctor. Like, how dare you mock my pain? This is really damn hurt. This is terrible pain. But he got him to call, and it's on the film. It was filmed right the way through, and his shock and all this. It doesn't effing hurt, but it doesn't effing hurt. It doesn't effing hurt.
It didn't affect his healing at all. The fact that he was both angry and skeptical. I'll get off now.
Thank you, Carol, for calling. And this is typical. You see, this is typical, and we want everyone to know. Claire, we want everyone to know.
Well, we'll try to tell them, and we'll keep it up there. And folks, I've just put that number into my cell phone under Burn Doctor. It's 818-332-6445. And I do want to talk with you more. I want you on here. I want to understand this fully, because I believe, Allison, that this can be applied to our current situation and everything that's going on. Now, one of the things that I propose to handle this whole New World Order thing is working together with your neighbors to basically reform villages, to restore the self-sufficient family farm, because I believe if you grow your own food, generate your own energy from everything God gave you, and if you're eating the right foods, you got the right balance in your life, and you're in contact, you're able to access this deity that holds the atoms together, you're going to be healthy.
And what humans have been doing in the last 50 years is divorced themselves from their natural way of living, and that is self-destructive in itself. To not live naturally, to eat wholesomely, and live as you should in the world. We're living so unnaturally. It's killing us. It's killing us.
And by the way, folks, you know, the whole Liberty Village concept, this ain't some scheme to get me rich. It's you can institute a whole Liberty Village in your block in Dallas and Fort Worth, anywhere.
On in the news.
All right, we're out of time here. Hold on just a moment, Allison.
For elected politicians, get the news.
We'll take that one off, and we'll take this one off.
The scientific name for this, by the way, because it is a science, is distant subliminal neurobypassing, DSNB.
Send me an email on that and give me some more information. And let's